Greetings to the Overseas Family School in Singapore. I'm coming at you to your Model UN from the real UN here in New York. My name is Brendan Varma. I'm the Director of Communications and spokesperson for the President of the General Assembly. And Model UN is very important to the real UN because we know that Model UN students are bright and passionate and they care about the kinds of issues that are so important to our world. I know that because I was also a Model UN student.
Hello, Overseas Family School. My name is Virginia Comolli.
Hi, my name is Shiloh.
Hello, my name's Justin Keeble.
Hello, I'm Samantha Dissanayaka.
And hopefully I'm addressing the Model United Nations at OFS.
And I'm a senior researcher at the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime.
I'm a security analyst who works to understand how climate change can have not only environmental impacts, but social, political, and also security impacts as well.
I've been the Asia editor for the BBC News website for the past 5 years.
Now, I work in the area of sustainability and have been working in this area for the last 22 years.
Now, issues like climate change, terrorism, natural disasters, and COVID-19 are not going to be solved by any one country alone.
People for discussions around what this nexus looks like and how to respond to it. So it's great that you're thinking through all these different aspects of climate change, how the UN functions, and our better understanding, and preparing yourselves and the rest of us for a world that is able to deal with these challenges meaningfully.
Now, you will all know that we're in a major crisis right now, not just the horrific COVID pandemic, but we have a major climate crisis and we have a major biodiversity crisis. And it's imperative upon all of us to act and act quickly.
However, what we are seeing around the world is that although some progress has been made in fighting some of these challenges, we are still a long way to go.
So we have a lot of the tools that we need in order to act in a preventive way. We just need to really commit to devoting the resources to using those.
And so there's an urgency now needed by all of us, from our own personal lives, the way we consume, the way we travel, the way we live, to make very big changes in order to address these big challenges. All of you, as you think about your future careers, will think about the role that you might play in every walk of life in tackling these challenges so that both you and your children aren't left with a legacy of destruction that we're currently on course to deliver.
I've seen how much more important climate change and climate change reporting has become. Major changes that we see, rising sea levels, the impact on food production, species extinction.
That's why we need a multilateralism, because countries cannot fight threats that do not respect national borders. The biggest example of multilateralism and countries coming together is the Sustainable Development Goals. You all know about the SDGs, and you know that 193 countries came together to agree on a blueprint for making our planet safer and healthier. Now, we think at the real UN that Model UN students can go a step further than their conference is. We know that you are excellent at drafting resolutions, at researching, at debating, but we'd like for you to go a step further and go into your communities and take real action in support of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mihika Mishra, and I will be serving as the Deputy Secretary General for this year's MY-MUNOFS conference. Thank you for all being in attendance today for our first ever middle years online conference. I would first like to introduce our Secretary General, Abigail Bilsland.
Honourable Chairs, respected delegates and esteemed guests. My name is Abigail Bilsland, and it is my honour to serve as Secretary General for this year's annual Middle Years Model United Nations Conference here at Overseas Family School, Singapore. When the first MY-MUNOFS was held, over 12 years ago, there were a mere 50 participants. Today, I can proudly say that our conference has grown and expanded to accommodate not only a significantly greater amount of participants, but to face up to the unique challenges that come with the COVID-19 era, resulting in this, our first online MY-MUNOFS. Although last year, after months of planning, we were forced to cancel our conference as a result of the pandemic, The fact that you are all here listening to me speak today is truly a testament to the dedication and perseverance of our hard-working executive team, student officers, and director. The work we have put in over the last months is tremendous and has enabled us to make this conference possible. As we all know, Model United Nations is more than just debate. MUN exposes our generation to a deeper understanding of relevant global issues, such as our theme for this year's MY-MUNOFS, climate change. The importance of understanding and tackling this global threat cannot be overstated, and this conference gives us an opportunity to focus on that. MUN gives everyone the opportunity to develop crucial skills and form bonds that will last a lifetime. Over the next weekend, many of these opportunities will arise, and I urge you to seize them, as this is what will enable you to speak up on issues you truly care about and make a difference in this world. Model United Nations is where solutions to global issues are found and the future leaders of our generation are discovered. No one understands the value of MUN better than me, who, at this very conference 4 years ago, was starting on my MUN journey for the very first time. I came to this conference not knowing what to expect and suffering from a tremendous fear of public speaking. Over the following weekend, I was fascinated by the debate I witnessed and captivated by the platform we received as students to speak on global issues. I somehow did find the courage to speak up, making just a single speech over the course of the entire weekend. But from that single speech, I had dived into something much more meaningful than I ever expected, and now I stand before you at the very podium that I looked up to all those years ago. I hope that you will all find the same joy in this conference that I did and still do. My advice to participants is to take that one step, to take that one risk. No matter how intimidating it seems, I can promise you that it is worth it. MUN provides us with great opportunities, and putting your all into this conference will ensure that you get the most out of this experience, not forgetting to enjoy yourself along the way. On that note, I wish you all the best of luck and hope that you have a truly valuable experience at MY-MUNOFS XI.
Due to our previous MY-MUNOFS conference being cancelled, the executive team, chairs, and directors have put in their utmost effort into making this conference run smoothly while adapting to the current restrictions. Whether it be your first conference or your last, we hope this conference is as memorable for you as it is for us. Now, it is with great pleasure that I introduce Mr. Lee, the principal of the middle school, to speak a few words.
Welcome delegates and all participants to the Overseas Family School Middle Years MUN Conference. This is our 11th conference, but our first online. You're all the pioneers leading the way of this new online conference. We've had to adapt to the changes around the world. We are living through COVID. There are issues with law and order around the world. And you guys, as potential young leaders, need to use all your delegation skills over the next few days. Enjoy it, challenge each other, respect each other, but extend each other in the skills that you have to reason, to argue in a respectful way, and to push each other to live actually in a more peaceful world. Use those skills, hone those skills. Actually, last but not least, enjoy yourselves. Get to meet new people. We all have a common cause. We would like to live our lives in peace and stability around the world. Welcome to the Overseas Family School MUN Conference.
My name is Mehek Swani, and I will be serving alongside Mihika as the Deputy Secretary General for MY-MUNOFS XI. This year, we have over 30 different topics being debated amongst 13 committees. We're also elated to announce an additional committee to our conference, CCPCJ, which allows delegates to delve further into criminal justice cases. With that, it is with great pleasure that I introduce our keynote speaker for the conference, Mr. Nicholas Kvarnström. He is currently serving as the Swedish ambassador for the Embassy of Sweden in Singapore, and has previously worked as a director for Eastern Europe and Central Asia at the Swedish Ministry for Foreign Affairs. He will be speaking about how Sweden is tackling the issue of climate change through global cooperation and the importance of MUN. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Nicholas Kvarnström.
Hello everyone, my name is Niklas Kvarnström. I'm the ambassador of Sweden to Singapore since 2.5 years back. I want to say first of all, congratulations to everyone participating in the Overseas Family School Model United Nations. and welcome to the conference for all the schools attending in the region. I'm very sorry that because of the global pandemic, you're not able to meet up live, because of course that's one of the nice things about Model United Nations, but I'm sure that you will get an opportunity to do so later. I have a few very simple messages for you and the conference. The first one is to enjoy Model United Nations. I can tell you from my own experience that today I'm a real life ambassador of Sweden, but less than 30 years ago, I was doing Model United Nations myself. And I think my Model United Nations career finished being the ambassador of Nigeria in a big international conference in The Hague. But I also remember representing Vietnam, Senegal, and Israel. And so Model United Nations is something really fun. It teaches you a lot, and it's a great chance to get to know people and get an understanding of what it's like to work together for common solutions. And I hope that you all come out of the conference wanting to work with or at the United Nations. The third message I want to send to you is how important youth activism is, what you are doing now, young people getting engaged in global issues, understanding them, working together, participating in the discussion. In my country, Sweden, we have, of course, one of the world's most famous youth activists in Greta Thunberg, who has been such an eloquent voice when it comes to climate change globally. And it does show that also the voices of young people, after all, you are the ones who are going to take over the world pretty soon and will inherit all the problems that you get from previous generations, including mine. The next message I want to send to you is that the climate crisis, because it is a real crisis, is real and it is existential. I know it's the theme of your conference, and I'm quite happy to hear that. And what I want to say here is that we think of it as a crisis for the planet. It's very common to talk about it as that, but I would say it's two crises. One is for planet Earth, which, every living thing on planet Earth will be affected by climate change one way or another, in a negative way, for the most part. But it's also very much a crisis for mankind, for humans. It's a human, people-based crisis, because humans are going to be the victims, whether it's of flooding, whether it is of famine, whether it is of refugee crisis, and we are not isolated in any way from our environment that we live in. The only good news is that we can do something. It isn't hopeless. It is probably unavoidable that there will be negative effects of the climate crisis, but most catastrophic scenarios are avoidable if we take action now. And that is to my next point, that global cooperation, multilateral, as we say, multilateral, meaning not just one or two governments, but many governments together, is the key way to tackle such a crisis. Governments are responsible for the policies of their countries, of the people who live in their countries, and it's important that every government does its bit to combat climate change. But it isn't enough for us to do it in isolation. This is a global crisis affecting the whole planet, and the only solutions are if we all work together. And that is why the Paris Accord, of course, is so important, and the global efforts of fighting and mitigating the effects of climate change. That's what the United Nations is for. So the final message from me is that is the reason that the United Nations organization is so important. It is the only world organization. It certainly has many flaws that we as members, have to work to counter. I'm sure you will come across some of them during your conference and argue them out, as you should. But the United Nations is the place where we can come together to solve the problems that can only be solved together. And it's tough to negotiate at the United Nations, believe me, I know that, especially when you need consensus, which it often is the case in the General Assembly context, but it is necessary. Behind me, you see as a virtual screen the Sustainable Development Goals. These are to collectively a roadmap that we, all of us as United Nations member states, have agreed to work towards for a better world, including climate change, of course. it is, as always in the United Nations, you could always wish them to be more specific, more ambitious, but they do exist as a plan for all of us coming together to solve our problems together. So with that, I want to say I wish you good luck in the negotiations. I hope you make new friends. I hope you think creatively about some of these problems, and I hope that you get an understanding of what cooperation between countries is like. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to be associated with the event. Good luck.
Now, also, one thing I want you to keep in mind when you're doing your Model UN conference over there at the Overseas Family School in Singapore is that voting is not always the way to go. Now, in the real General Assembly, we tend to do things by consensus, wherever we can. Because when it comes to voting, if you have certain countries that don't vote for a resolution, they're probably not going to implement those resolutions. And then what's really the point? We need buy-in from everyone to move ahead. Also, voting is about winners and losers, and that's not really what the real General Assembly is about. The General Assembly at the United Nations is about bringing people together in order to move forward together as a community. So I would just like to conclude here by saying that as you do your Model UN conference, we here at the Real UN are with you every step of the way. Best of luck with your conference.
And I really wish the middle school MUN and the Overseas Family School good luck as you strive to find workable solutions and sustainable solutions to what are certainly very complex global issues.
All the best to you at the Overseas Family School and your Model United Nations deliberations.
On that note, we would like to declare the 11th Annual MY-MUNOFS Conference at Overseas Family School officially open.